Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to
Battle of Salamis, 480 BC, Persian invasion of Greece.
Video was sponsored by The Great Courses Plus. Go to thegreatcoursesplus.com today to start your free trial. It is hard to overstate the importance of the ancient Greeks to human civilization, especially in regards to freedom and democracy. But there was a critical moment that threatened this freedom at the beginning of the 5th century BC, as the Greeks tried to stop a Persian invasion. This long conflict saw a chain of desperate clashes, including a decisive naval battle at Salamis. So, without further ado, let's delve into the events that led.
I wonder if salami came from this. Oh, no.
To this dramatic clash. By the 8th century BC, Greece had finally moved beyond the Dark Ages caused by the fall of Mycenaean civilization. Greek polities were forming into city-states, and two of them, Athens and Sparta, became the most prominent. The Greek city-states of Asia Minor were having a more difficult time, and by 560 BC they were conquered by the Lydian Empire. That was not the end of it. To the east, Cyrus the Great began his conquest of Mesopotamia in 553 BC, and by 547 BC he reached Cappadocia, thus becoming a new neighbor of Lydia. Croesus, the king of Lydia, attempted to strike against Cyrus in the same year, but failed in his campaign, and a year later Lydia was conquered, along with all of its Greek cities. They became the satrapies of the Achaemenid Empire of Cyrus, and tyrants were installed in most cities to keep them in check. In mainland Greece, this process was happening in reverse, as many city-states overthrew their tyrants, becoming democracies. That would be a cornerstone of the future conflict. Darius the Great continued the Achaemenid conquests and moved into Europe. By 500 BC, Thrace was conquered and Macedonia vassalized. However, the situation in Asia Minor was not stable, and in 499 BC, the leader of the city-state of Miletus, called Aristogoras, started a revolt against Darius, and many other cities joined him. He also received support from Athens and Eretria. This alliance managed to take the central Persian city in the region, Sardis, but was pushed back and defeated near Ephesus. Despite this setback, revolt spread.
The music is so dramatic.
yes.
The Persians responded by sending a new fleet and winning against the Greeks at Lada in 494 BC. The rebellion was quelled the very next year. In 492 BC, Darius launched a campaign into Greece as retribution. This invasion had some early success, but was decisively defeated by the Athens-led alliance in the famous Battle of Marathon in 490. Darius planned a second invasion, but a revolt in Egypt prevented that. The Greeks used this respite well and formed a larger alliance with Sparta and Athens in leading roles. The son of Darius, Xerxes I, was then able to move forward with a new invasion in 480 BC. Achaemenid forces gathered in Sardis and crossed Hellespont in April. The invading army continued towards the Macedonian border with a large navy flanking it. Initially, the Greek plan was to defend in the Vale of Tempe, but that would have left most of the mainland undefended against the amphibious invasion. Instead, the land forces of the Greek cities, consisting of 5,000 to 10,000 troops, led by Spartan king Leonidas, blocked off the pass of Thermopylae. To the east, a 300 trireme-strong allied navy under Athenian command closed off the straits of Artemisium. Persian forces arrived in the area by late August. Their army had around 200,000 warriors, while the navy consisted of 1,000 or so triremes. Before the Persian fleet reached the Greeks, a storm broke out, and almost a third of their ships perished. The Persians attempted to send a portion of
So not only the Greeks, can fight, but also they got a little lucky there. The storm kind of helped them,
Honestly, I feel like it's ideal to start this war when it's about to be winter in a little bit. Kind of, okay, who did better? Someone got to quit.
Why
Someone has to
winter,
retreat.
though?
Because if it's in August, okay, it's gonna get cold really soon. So I don't know if anyone can hang on around winter, the harsh winters, especially from the north of Greece.
I don't know if the winters are that harsh in the north of Greece. Like in the mountains, they do get cold, but Because they said storm, so aren't storms usually like in the summer?
It was in August.
Of their navy to the south to circle around Euboea and surround Hellenes. However, one more storm sunk these vessels. The first 2 days of the land battle in Thermopylae were going according to the plan of Leonidas, but by the third day, the Persians outflanked his troops. The king sent away the majority of his contingent and stayed behind with his Spartans, Thespians, Thebans, and Helots. Although he and his companions were killed during the third day, this sacrifice allowed at least half of the army to retreat. At the same time, the Greeks led by Themistocles were attacked by the Persian navy, and despite the fact that losses on both sides were equal, the Greeks did not have the resources to defend any longer. As the passage at Thermopylae was lost, the Straits of Artemisium had no strategic importance, and Themistocles ordered a retreat. By the middle of September, Xerxes occupied Athens, and Themistocles had to fall back even further to the island of Salamis, where he received some reinforcements. He now had 307.
They took the land.
Yeah,
area.
seems like they did until they had to go eat some sausages.
78 ships under his command. Athens was now under Persian control, and they were able to use the harbour of Piraeus. Soon, their 700 ships blocked off the open sea.
Oh, I remember
Themistocles
Piraeus
knew-
nowadays. The lady said she didn't like Piraeus because the beaches there has too much in the water.
That there was no retreat and formed up his navy. The Athenians were on the left, Peloponnesian ships were on the right, and Spartans, Corinthians, and other contingents were in the center. The Persian fleet consisted of ships built and manned by the Egyptians, Phoenicians, and the Greeks of Asia Minor. Xerxes did not need to fight this battle, as he was well supplied. His advisors were suggesting to stay in the open waters and wait for the Greeks to try and break out. The Greeks were outnumbered at least 2-1, and any attempt to fight on the high seas would be catastrophic.
That's not the first.
Xerxes sent a small group to take the island of Psytalia, while Egyptian portions of the navy, which had suffered most of the damage at Artemisium, were left behind to cover other exits around the island of Salamis. In the morning, the Persian fleet entered the Straits of Salamis with Phoenicians on the right, Ionians on the left, and other Greeks in the center. Early in the morning, the Corinthian ships moved back. Persian commanders thought that the Greeks were in a panic
This is
and
scary.
ordered the navy forward. The Greeks moved their ships further backwards, imitating a retreat, and the Persians reformed into a diamond formation to attack the enemy center. Still, the straits were very narrow, and now there was not enough space for the Persian vessels to maneuver. The Greek retreat was indeed just a trap. Themistocles knew the weather conditions and gave the order
They fell into the trap again. When are they gonna learn?
Yeah.
to counterattack right when the wind changed. The wind was now blowing from the east, and that sped up Greek
maybe they don't learn because they don't survive to go tell.
True.
ships while slowing down their opponents. This allowed the Greek ships to attack in a narrow front, and as their vessels were heavier, the Persians were stopped in their tracks, becoming bunched together. The diamond formation also did not help, as it allowed the Corinthians to shift to the left flank and attack the Persian right.
They did the diamond formation in hockey too, but it's called like the B formation. It's like the first part of the diamond, like the
V?
yeah, the V.
As some Persian commanders were killed early in the battle, most of their navy was left without higher command. The Greeks also were dominating in the boarding actions, as their heavy hoplites were easily defeating the light Persian infantrymen. Other Persian lines did not have enough room to help and had to slowly retreat from the straits under increasing pressure from the Greek flanks. Xerxes watched the battle from his throne sat on a nearby mountain, but couldn't do anything to change the course of this
That's
engagement.
awful.
The Persians lost.
How was he able to see though?
He wasn't there in this island.
Still, like,
Yeah, I'm sure he has his telescope.
they had telescopes back then, you
I
think?
think.
Oh, no.
Lost around 300 ships, and although they still had a few hundred more, the invasion was in disarray. Xerxes retreated to Asia to avoid being trapped in Europe. He left a land army to fight on, but it was defeated in 479 BC during the Battle of Plataea. At the same time, the Persian navy was defeated yet again at Mycale in Ionia. Xerxes and his descendants did not attempt to conquer Greece again, and 150 years later, Alexander the Great conquered the Achaemenid realm. While creating this documentary, we used the series of lectures called Understanding Greek and Roman Technology from Professor Stephen Bressler, provided.
And then, is he the same who was dating
Cleopatra?
Cleopatra?
No, I think that was Julius Caesar.
Oh, okay. Guys, of course, let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Discord, and as always, share as much kindness as possible.